everyone, and welcome to my channel. Today I have the amazing Laura Rafferty with me, and there's a funny story to this. We actually planned to have this conversation well before Archie came along. So for anyone that knows me, I've got a 5-month-old, and I think we planned this chat for when I was pregnant. Is that right? It was, isn't it? I contacted you ages and ages ago. And anyway, now we're here. We finally got this conversation going, and I am fangirling over Laura Rafferty.
Oh gosh, I'm fangirling over you.
Oh, so I'm sure all of you know who Laura is, but Laura, could you just give us a quick little rundown about who you are and what you do?
Yeah, my name is Laura. I'm an artist, and I like to color and draw and paint and do all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, I've noticed, and I must say, you're actually someone whose work is so insanely good that I definitely end up comparing myself and thinking, why do I
Oh,
bother? But I think that's so natural to fall in the comparison trap
oh,
because we have so different styles. I thought it'd be really fun to just quickly run over how you started making art, because I think every artist has a really amazing story. So, what got you in the groove for becoming a coloring book artist?
well, there's kind of two different stories. Well, they're all part of the same story, but I started as an artist when I was a little girl, actually. My mom is really artistic, and she always encouraged me to appreciate the little details in life. And so she sort of started me off on that journey. But then what's great is recently I actually came to coloring, and I started coloring and I loved it. And I've been drawing and painting my whole life. And so it just sort of developed naturally as far as my coloring story. Um, my sister gave me my first coloring book, which was Lost Ocean by Johanna Basford.
Oh,
And I was going through art block, and I had a really tough time, and I was just like mentally struggling, like everybody does at some point or another.
mm,
And so I just started coloring. I was like, I still had this desire to create, but I didn't really know what I would do. So I just thumbed through that coloring book that my sister gave me a couple months prior, and yeah, I fell in love with it. My first coloring page is this jellyfish. I had so much fun. I only used 36 Prismacolor pencils, and I just went at the page, and I just had no plan or anything like that. I just started coloring, and it was so much fun that I instantly fell in love, joined Instagram for the first time, like, and then I started drawing my own book like a couple months later.
amazing, amazing. So, did you actually study art at school? What do you call it, school over there? Did you study art at
Yeah.
school?
I studied art in high school, so from age 14 to age 18, you can sort of pick a path in
Mm.
the public educational system. So I picked AP Art History and AP Art, and I learned a lot in those 4 years in high school. But then in college, I kind of went off and did my own thing. I majored as a film major in college. I took a couple art classes here and there when I could, but I'm mostly self-taught. The most amount of art education I got was actually figure drawing. I took a lot of figure drawing classes,
Yeah.
and I'm really glad I did take that opportunity. I took 8 figure drawing classes, an anatomy class. So those classes really laid a great foundation for me to draw the human figure.
And do you know what? That really, really shows, because one thing that I really struggle at is drawing anything remotely realistic looking. So you can definitely tell that you've taken those lessons, because your anatomy and especially your portraits, they are just spot on. So that has paid off. But I find it
Well,
funny that you and I were kind of both self-taught, but in our college years, we both went off and did something different, like a different creative outlet. So I did web design, which is actually why I've ended up as a designer in my day job. And I know that you kind of do similar stuff, don't you? So can you talk a little bit about
yeah, sure. And that's awesome that you went to college for web design because, I do that a lot. I do a lot of product photography. I do a lot of, I even do some copywriting, things like that, all kind like, marketing, copywriting, all sorts of things like that. Just sort of whatever my clients need at that moment, I help them out with. But yeah, I do a lot of web design and web development for my day job, and I'm just self-taught there. My mom is a computer programmer. That's what she does as a day job. And
Oh
so
my
we
God.
always had old computers in the house. So even in the 80s, when it was really rare to have a personal computer in your home, and we weren't rich by any standards, a single mom, so she was raising us up herself, but we always were fairly comfortable enough to have at least electricity and dial up the internet back then,
Oh, I remember that. Oh my gosh, how funny. Actually, do you know what?
So that's maybe showing my age, but
No, 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 not at all, not at all. I
but
remember growing up thinking, oh wow, computers are so scary. And in our class at school, there was only one, and we all had to take turns using it. So that does show our age because,
wow,
like now everyone takes it for granted that you can just go on the internet
yeah.
whenever you want. You don't have to sit there and listen to like, you've just
It's
gone straight away.
oh,
Crazy.
and you don't get kicked off the internet when somebody gives you a
Yeah,
phone call.
yeah, exactly. So how old are you then? Am I allowed to ask? That's a bit rude, isn't it?
Oh, oh, I hate this question.
Why?
I'm 30. I'm 37. I'm almost 38. I'll be 38 this November. Yeah, so
What?
I'm old.
Oh my gosh, you look so young. I'm mind blown. What
Oh,
the hell?
thank you.
Oh my gosh.
It's
Wow.
probably because I don't drink a lot. I don't go out partying. I mostly stay at home drawing, so I stay out of the sun. So
Kind of the
yeah,
same as me, to be honest.
yeah. So you'll look great until you're like 70 years old too.
I hope so, but I think being a mum definitely makes you feel like you get about 10 years older overnight. It's crazy.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's great.
amazing. So
But
obviously, along your road to becoming a colouring book artist, because obviously I know you have a day job, so this is kind of something that you do on the side. Um,
yeah.
what made you kind of think, do you know what, I want to try and take my own path and follow that direction? Because not everyone has it in them to think, do you know what, in my spare time, I'm going to work some more. So what inspired
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, it does seem kind of crazy when you think about it until you just love it so much you can't help but do it. So yeah, the hardest part for me was getting the book printed. And,
Mm.
my first book was funded through Kickstarter, which was a nail biter the whole time. So it's been quite a roller coaster of ups and downs. I've had some really tough moments, especially one of my vendors was really difficult to work with. And I was like stressing out, and
Mm.
like crying, but like all of those struggles really, oh gosh, they're so worth it when I see a coloring page from someone, maybe even someone I haven't ever met before, and I realize that there's this connection that we need, and they collaborated with me on a coloring page. Like that,
Mm.
to me, makes all that struggle worth it. So,
I
yeah,
agree. I agree.
yeah.
And it is a huge learning curve, isn't it? Because
Oh,
obviously when I started, I thought I'm gonna just self-publish a book. Then you have
yeah.
to
Whoa,
research.
that's easy, right?
Yeah, exactly. You have to research all the manufacturers, get all the paper samples in, and even then I
Yeah.
had problems with my first print run, and I decided to go to the same company again, and then I had problems again. So yeah, it's just in the end that's why I switched to just creating digital books only, just because of when I was pregnant, it was too much work for me to try and to juggle that as well. So
Yeah. Yeah, I totally hear you.
mm,
Actually, yeah,
but
my book this time will be PDF only as well. For the same reason, I'm just too busy. So,
yeah, but that's such a shame because I saw everyone doing in their Instagram stories when they got your most recent book, the circle portraits, and oh my gosh, above and beyond with your packaging and your book quality, amazing.
you. Thank
So
you. Yeah.
good.
I think it's because I'm a colorist too, and I get books all the time myself from other illustrators. Like I've actually bought one of your PDFs, and I keep meaning to color it. So I just, I buy them all the time myself, and it disappoints me when they come damaged.
Mm,
And so I just take a lot of care and make sure that they're like bubble wrapped really well. I know it kind of sucks to use bubble wrap, but I do use a cardboard box, so at least the outer packaging is
yeah.
recyclable. And what's great is, like with my book, I chose 100% recycled paper, so we're not killing any trees by printing it. So
Oh,
yeah, like I
yeah.
do really care about the whole process and all the materials that go into it as much as I can.
Yeah, the paper quality is a huge one as well, isn't it? And I can tell from your books that they are premium, which is amazing. And I think
Yeah,
that's another reason why I stopped producing books, was because I felt like I couldn't make a book to the high enough standard that I wanted to deliver without it
yeah,
costing the heaven and earth. And I just thought people can't afford that. So how
yeah.
can I make it more accessible to people? And that was the way that I had to do it. So
Yeah,
it's very
I had to
different.
make a lot of sacrifices when I printed my second book. I wanted it to be hardbound and spiral bound, and
Mm,
I wanted it to be, like, oh, you want everything. You want the gold finish on the cover. You want all of those fancy bells and whistles, and then reality hits you, and it's like, yeah, that'll cost you $40 a book.
yeah, exactly.
Before you
Exactly.
even, buy the shipping materials and mark it up like a teeny smidge so you get a little cut of profit. So, I was like, okay, maybe not. So I
Yeah.
made it a soft cover, a perfect bound book. So it's very similar to the way that, Kirby Roseanne's books are bound, things like that.
Mm,
And the thing is I had to do that because I wanted to make it cheap enough that it wasn't like, I mean, it's still an expensive coloring book. Um, but I just spent all the money on the paper. And what makes it expensive is actually that it's single sided. So that means I need actually 42 pages and not
mm.
24. Or 28, whatever. Anyway, math is not my strength. But
Well, that's fine. So I guess that leads nicely onto the next question then. So what does your creative process look like? Because I know it's different for every artist. Mine's a bit slapdash, but
yeah.
I feel like you being so much of an expert, you must have something that's like amazing.
Yeah, I do have a daily habit of drawing, and it's not just drawing. I kind of allow myself to do just about whatever I want to. So, I wake up at 5 in the morning, and then from 5 to 7, I'm usually creating some kind of artwork, whether it be sketching, doodling. I do a lot of watercolor painting and I do all kinds of art media. So whatever mood strikes me that day, I don't say, oh, I must do this, because then I find I lose dedication if I'm not having fun. So
Yeah.
I just allow myself to do whatever I want. And that kind of kicks off my day. If I do it right when I wake up, I find the time to do it. It's just when I put it off later in the day, I'm like, oh, I'll do that after dinner. And then I'm tired and something comes up. And, basically, there's so many ways for you to stop, not, or don't do art, if you put it off. So I've just learned over the years, daily habit, daily practice. And what's amazing to me is that I learn one discipline and that informs everything that I know from other disciplines. So it's like a cumulative process where I know, right? A cumulative process where basically everything piles on and it becomes like this big like art experiment and you just never know what the day is going to hold. So
I just want to
it's
like
really fun.
rewind back a second, because you just said you get up at 5 a.m. 5 a.m. and
Yeah.
you don't have a child. Like, what is wrong with you?
I just I usually go for a bike ride with a buddy of mine at 7, and I usually start work around 9 o'clock, just like a day job, just like everybody else, even though I work from home. So I just figure, if I get up before anything else, now that usually has me going to bed pretty soon after dinner time most of the time. Like people are up late, and I'm like, I'm going to bed. Bye.
Yeah, I was
But
going to ask that actually. Like, what time is your bedtime?
usually around 10 or 11. It
That's
depends
still
on.
quite late.
Yeah, well, it depends on my work for that day. And, if I'm feeling sick or something, then I'll definitely go to bed earlier than that. But I find that lately I only need about 7 hours of sleep. So I just, if I'm going to wake up earlier than 5, I might as well go to bed later.
Do you know what? I know I've just taken the mick out of you for a 5 o'clock start, but I am so with you because I think making the time to do things that are important to you, it's just you have to do it. You have to find that space in your day. If it's a priority, then you'll make that time, won't you? So
Yeah.
before having a baby, I would, this is how bad it is. I would commute on my way into work, and then during my lunch break, I would draw, and then I would like draw or sketch on the way home as well. Then I would do it in the evenings, and nothing's changed now. All I do now is that I just squeeze it into nap time. So I am up early, 6 o'clock, not 5 o'clock, but I'm doing mummy duties, and then I can in nap time switch to creating stuff. But you sound like you've got it nailed down. Superwoman Laura. There are
Well,
no
I'm
end to your
perfect.
talent.
A lot of the times, I have slept in. I'm not going to say I'm perfect every day,
What,
but
until
I
seven
just,
o'clock or something?
yeah, like sometimes I'll be like, oh, I only need to doodle for an hour today or whatever. If I'm going to do a live stream later that day, sometimes I'll sleep in a little bit because I know I'll get my arting in later. But next, it is what it is. Nobody's
Well,
perfect. I'm not going to say, like, I'm super, awesome, superhuman. It's not
I
like
think
that.
you are, and I think you're absolutely amazing. So okay, next question then. So you're not perfect. Have you ever suffered with creative block?
Yes, I have actually. I suffered creative block before I started coloring. There was about, I'd say, 3 months where all I did was some really horrible sketching. It was bad.
You have to
And
do it
I
though.
never really got. Yeah, yeah, and I forced myself, but honestly, some days I only doodle for 15 minutes if I'm not feeling it, and I don't force myself to do more than that. If I'm having a bad day and it doesn't, there's the mojo's gone. I don't beat myself up about that either. It is what it is, but I do try to do it anyway, just to, because sometimes the momentum is all you need. Once you get started, it's like I'm off, but if you're not feeling it, there's no need to force yourself. I think that's also kind of like punishing and mean. You're not gonna
Yeah.
get much out of that. So yeah, I have suffered art block. A lot of the things I do to get rid of it, I'll organize my studio. I love like rearranging my colored pencils and like flipping through my coloring books and my art books, and I'll look at stuff like that. Sometimes I'll just try something totally new that I've never done before because like the pressure's off to be perfect, if you've
I
never done it
agree.
before.
Have you
Uh,
ever done the thing where you've started drawing something and then you've thought, I absolutely hate this, and you just shove it to one side because you don't want to pressure yourself to finish it, and then you come back say a week or so later and you're like, oh my god, this is amazing, why did I hate it? Have you ever had that?
I have done that, and I've done the opposite, where like I do something and I think it's fabulous, and like 2 days later, I'm like, what was I thinking?
Oh my god, that's so funny.
So I've done both. I think that's part of the process. I only show what I want to show. I make plenty of mistakes too, but I don't feel the need to share everything I do all the time. I feel like my private mistakes are my mistakes, and I show a lot on my YouTube channel, me messing up and how I recover from that. But a
Yeah.
lot of the times, there is no recovery. You have to put it aside and, and start fresh. So just accepting that you're human and not forcing yourself to share everything, I think takes a lot of pressure off too. I have sketchbooks filled with probably disgusting doodles that I don't even look at anymore. I just put them on the shelf and don't think about them. And, like I'm sure if I open them up, I remember actually when I was first learning how to draw faces, nobody would sit for me. They would look at my drawings and like, no, I'm not, you can't draw me. And so what I did is I sat in front of a mirror. Yeah, it's true. It was terrible. I had like the wrong proportions. I just didn't know how to draw a face. So I sat in front of a mirror and drew myself like 400 times, like over the course
Oh
of
my
2 or 3 years.
gosh.
Um, yeah, and then eventually people started seeing my self portraits, and they were like, "Hey, can you draw my kid? Hey, can you do?" So after a while, I just learned how to do it. So when people say, "Oh, I wish I could draw," I'm like, "Go ahead, grab a mirror, try it out," because
This is it.
that's how I learned. So
Anyone can draw. I think to be honest, I think anyone can do anything if they put their
yeah,
mind to it. And everything is a learning
exactly.
curve. So I wouldn't say that
Yeah,
I'm the best artist, but I can definitely say that because I draw every day and I make a point of doing that, I can actually see my work getting better. I can see my style getting more refined and, a little bit
hmm
like yourself, like you've obviously found what you're comfortable with, and that's portrait. And I'm kind of finding my style now. So my heart has to be in it to be able to draw something. Does that make sense to you? Do you get that as well?
Oh yeah, I'm the same way. And it's funny because I'm very careful about taking commissions for this
Mm.
reason. Because sometimes what the client wants is like far different from what I'm looking for in a piece of work. And I try and stay true to myself since it's not my primary source of income and I'm just doing this for fun. Um, but if I'm not feeling it or if I'm not happy with it, then the result just isn't as good. If you look at my work, you can kind of see what I do.
Yeah.
So if it's too far outside that realm, I tend to pass on it.
Yes, and I think I've learned that throughout in my day job, to be honest, because I often get asked to do like freelance stuff, and I'm like, I can't do it because I
Mm,
know that my heart isn't in that. So I probably could force myself, but that will mean it's not enjoyable for me. And I never like to
yeah.
create stuff under that feeling of pressure. I like to create just with an open heart, and then it all goes really well. And I'm usually very pleased with the outcome. And for me, doing art is all about enjoying the process as well. So, as much as I'm trying to give art to other people, I also do it for my kind of self expression, much like yourself. Do you ever find that sometimes you resent your day job a little bit because you want to be spending more time doing art, but then at the same time, it's like it
Yeah.
kind of funds you to explore your hobby, doesn't it? Or your side business.
Mm. I mean, it's tough because I have tried making art like a full-time thing, and it is really hard. It puts a lot of pressure on something that is your passion, which is difficult, I think. But I have found myself coding websites, chugging along in CSS and going, I wish I were drawing right now.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, bless
uh,
you.
I mean, that's the honest truth of it. I mean, the grass is kind of always greener on the other side. I'm grateful that I have a job where I have steady income, and I don't have to worry about where my next meal is coming from. But at the same time, there are moments where I wish I were more free to do what I really love to do. So Maybe someday, but I'm not putting pressure on my artwork to carry me through like that. I'm a single lady. I mean, I have a boyfriend, but we don't live together and we don't share our bills. So
Yeah.
I pretty much have to take care of myself. So when that happens and you're your sole responsibility, you gotta kind of make some practical choices.
Yeah, I really love actually that you've spoken about that, because I think sometimes people think that they can just be like, do you know what? I'm going to open an Etsy shop and then I'm going to be rolling in money and I can quit my day job. And it's like, no, the people that you see that are doing really, really well and actually have this as a living have probably put about 10 years worth of work in the run up to that moment to kind of quit
Yeah.
their day job.
Yeah. And I think even people who are super duper talented get sort of passed over as far as that money gold mine goes. So I don't think it's a sure thing, no matter how good you are. And I also think a lot of people have this sort of idealized notion of what it is to be an artist.
Mm,
And you don't see like the stress before the deadline, and things like we talked about where we had vendor trouble with printing our books, for example. Even things like having to read legal jargon so that I can file my book in copyright. Like like
mm.
so many little details that are just a mundane day job that you would have to deal with in any other business. um, Even things like customer service when you're dealing on Etsy. If somebody doesn't get their book and it's overseas and who knows where it is, and then it shows up at their doorstep 2 months later and they've got two books now, like what do you do? I mean, there's all these things that happen, and you just kind of have to like figure it out as you go. So
Definitely. And you have to wear all of the hats. So you have to be like the accountant, the marketer, the social media
exactly.
networker, the artist, customer service. And to be honest, I probably spend 80% of my time working like in my business rather than on it. So
Yeah.
the actual drawing time I get is not that much, because a lot of it is just trying to do all the other stuff that goes with it, which
Yeah.
people don't really realize. It's not as easy as it looks. I wish I
Yeah,
was just
well,
drawing all day, like la la la, but I'm
I know.
not.
I wish I was drawing all day too, but even if it was my full-time job, I would still be doing, like you said, like a lot of just the mundane office work that we just have to do as a business owner.
Exactly.
Thinking things like filing taxes are a complete headache when you're
I
making money off of your artwork, because you have to keep track of every sale, and
yeah, I hate
and
that.
yeah, it's my Etsy printouts are like this long because people are buying just like $2 files, so it's like,
Oh,
sorry.
I feel you. I'm the same. I'm the same. Okay, so let's switch over to just some quick fire questions, less serious ones, because we've gone quite deep on the whole business side. Okay, so without thinking, your most embarrassing moment ever is.
Probably my first singing solo.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
I was young and I did not make it to the singing bit. Mhm.
What happened?
No, I fainted, so that was over.
Oh, bless you.
I've had stage fright since I was a kid.
Okay, so if you could eat one meal for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Hmm. I think you asked me this probably already, and I probably answered something different than what I'm going to say today, because
Yeah,
this
go
answer
for
probably
it.
changes every day. But I think today I would really love to eat fish and chips forever. So that's my thing. But
That's so British.
I I guess so. I don't know. I think it's also really common here in like New England.
Well, we have a common thing between us. Okay, so who is the artist that inspires you the most? Obviously me, no joke.
Yes, actually, my book is inspired by your zodiac book. When I saw your Zodiac book, I was like, oh, and I had this old series of Zodiacs I was painting a long time ago, and I never finished the series, and it always bothered me, you know? Like, have you ever, like,
Mm,
started a project and not finished it, and it kind of, like, niggles at the back of your brain, like, this isn't
all the
very quick fire,
time.
by the way, I'm sorry.
That's fine. Okay, so me aside, who actually inspires you? Like, who
Um,
inspires
I
you?
love Alphonse Mucha. He's one of my biggest inspirations. But there's a lot of other ones, a lot of surreal artists, modern day artists. I mean, I get inspired every day by just looking at my Instagram feed. So yeah, but yeah, I'd say
A little bit
mostly
of
Alphonse Mucha.
everything.
Yeah.
Okay. And if you could travel to anywhere in the world, where would you go?
Probably the UK.
Yay! Oh my God, if you do, you need to just let me know and we can hook up. That'd be
I'm gonna have to
amazing.
be there for like a month to meet everybody.
Yeah, we should just have a massive colouring meet up. We can
That
all
would
like
be
geek out
awesome. I'm so bummed I couldn't go to the one that's happening. Did it already happen or is it happening soon?
next weekend. Yeah, I can't
I'm
wait.
jealous. Are you going to that?
Yeah.
Ah,
It's not,
congratulations.
it's not very far from me. It's probably about half an hour drive. So for me, it's
Are
really
you
close.
are you going to like live stream it or anything? I wonder if anybody's going to live stream it.
I've already asked about filming and you're not allowed, so which is fair enough.
It's
Hmm.
a bunch of YouTubers. What are they thinking?
I know. Maybe next time, because this is the first one that they've hosted. So, I think once they get some feedback, they might change it going forward. But
Yeah, that's like free promotion. I don't know
I
what they're
know.
thinking.
But hey ho, such is life. So, who is your favorite band or solo artist?
I have so many favorites. It's kind of hard to actually pick. I love my one of my favorite singers of all time is Ella Fitzgerald. So if I had to pick
I don't
one,
know who
I'd
that is.
say her. Huh?
I don't even know who that is.
Oh, it's oh my gosh. Okay, so you've probably heard her music. She's like an old jazz singer.
Oh, I don't really like jazz, so I'm gonna probably say I don't know who she is.
Okay, well that's all right. Anyway, she would probably be my favorite. But I have so many other bands that I love to listen to. There's no one genre that I listen to in particular.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same. I listen to everything, but my go-tos are normally like classic dad rock or just stuff that I heard like growing up. So,
Okay, yeah,
like Metallica and stuff like that. The
all
classic.
right.
Mm.
That's great. I love Metallica. I listen to it all the time when I'm BMXing.
Ah, and also, I can't even imagine you BMXing. You just look so lovely and sweet. And so when you told me you did that, I was like, what? This girl does everything.
Well, I'm not very good, if that makes you feel any better.
I'm sure you're
I do
fine.
it for fun.
Bless
My
you.
boyfriend and I share that. It's like a hobby that we started together. We started first mountain biking, and I started doing bunny hops, and he was wheeling his mountain bike. And then we were like, we're doing all these tricks. We should just get trick bikes and try that out. And he has a background in it. He used to BMX when he was a kid. So we
So
sort of
cool.
came into it together, and yeah, it's a great form of exercise. It keeps us giggling all the time. We're always making fools of ourselves. So yeah.
Well, I officially, you are amazing. Um,
So are you. Thank you so much.
I'm not the BMXer that can like color and draw and use all these different mediums and wakes up at 5 a.m. and draws every single day
Well,
and
don't
codes
you wake up
websites
at
in
5
between.
a.m.
Oh God. Okay, so just two more questions. What is one thing that people always assume about you?
That a girl can't code.
Amen. I got that so much. Like people didn't get it. I was like, women can code. It's fine.
Oh yeah. My style sheets are so organized and beautiful.
Yeah.
Hmm
Oh my God. Yes. I would annotate everything, leave notes and like,
Exactly.
oh, oh my gosh, how funny is that? Okay. And then what is
Yeah.
your one guilty pleasure in life?
Dark chocolate. Hmm.
I'd say all chocolate. I love chocolate.
I prefer dark chocolate, but I will eat milk chocolate. But yeah, I don't know why the dark chocolate. Like if there's two on the plate, I'm like dark chocolate.
Could you eat a whole big bar of dark chocolate in one go?
Yeah,
Oh my
I
gosh.
shouldn't, but yes.
Oh, see, I can eat a big chocolate bar in one go, but if
Mhm.
it's dark chocolate, it literally makes me feel like my eyeballs are popping out of my head.
Oh, well,
Like,
it is a little bit bitter. It does take some getting used to,
yeah,
but yeah, I
I just
like
like
it.
little bits.
You know,
Oh,
it is what it is. Yeah, most of the time, though, I eat chocolate with things like fruit. I'll like crumble up dark chocolate and put it in my yogurt and put fruit in it, and kind of like make like a
okay,
little.
okay. Not like me then. I sit down on the sofa on an evening and I've got like a big bar of dairy milk chocolate and then some more chocolate for dessert and then another bit of chocolate to finish off the night.
I mean, if it's in the house, it's fair game, but
Yeah.
but
Oh my
yeah,
god.
I try hard not to. I've always had to watch my weight my whole life, so that's just something that I'm more conscious of.
Yeah, I think as you get older, and especially because we have kind of jobs where we sit down a lot, you do start to think about the stuff that you're
Yeah.
eating, and obviously you want to try and just
Yep.
be on your A game most of the time. So it's like get outside, get some fresh air, go for a
Yeah.
walk, eat nutritious foods, all of that. Oh, well, it's
Exactly.
been
Yeah.
amazing having you on. I
Yeah.
feel like I don't know, you're just awesome. I need to stop saying it, but you are genuinely awesome.
Oh
So
no,
I just
you're
want to
awesome.
Oh, shut up. So I just want to say thank you so much for taking time out to actually do this. And I can't wait for everyone to check this out. So I'm pretty sure that most people will already follow you anyway, but are you okay to just quickly share with people where they can find you?
Oh yeah. So I'm all over as Laura Colors too. So it's LauraColorstoo. And so that's on Instagram, Facebook, and here on YouTube. So yeah.
Oh, amazing. And everyone, you should just, yeah, go check her out. I need to watch some of your tutorial videos, I think, because I know
Oh
you've got,
yeah. Well, if you have any requests, let me know because I'm always taking ideas.
I'll send you my list. Would you ever
Yay!
would you consider doing drawing tutorials on anatomy? Because I could definitely do with that.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
But like,
Actually, I did like a drawing warm up tutorial because someone asked me how to draw circles. And I was like, oh, that's a pretty basic thing, like that, it would be helpful for a lot of colorists to know how to draw. So I did a quick little tutorial, and it seems like there was a little bit of interest. So I'm definitely going to be doing more drawing tutorials in the future.
I think just obviously I've followed you for a little while and I can see that you've got so much in you to like teach. Like there's so much knowledge in there that you could push out to the world. So yeah. I mean, I know you're not obviously you're not kind of like trying to build this into a business, but
No.
if it was your full-time gig, you could totally like do online courses on drawing and your art techniques because you've got so much skill. Honestly,
Oh,
I am in awe of you. So thank you
oh,
again for taking time out.
oh no, no. And I'm learning every day too. And that's, I think the fun of it is if you just approach it like you just want to learn something new every day, then it's less about focusing on the result and more about the process and
Yeah.
sort of how you progress over time, which I think is more healthy to look at than comparing yourself to other people or, saying, oh, I'll never be as good as this person. That kind of negative self talk, I think a lot of the times kind of puts people off of drawing. And I think if
Mm.
you instead look at like your first drawing and be like, hey, this is where I started, and then you look at the one that you just did and you're like, hey, they're better, I'm going somewhere with this, then you can see, and the longer you do it, the easier that is to see. So it's that's the way I try and approach everything. And so I think if um, that's the only thing that people get out of my channel, is just that message, then I think I've done something.
Exactly. And I know I was trying to end it here, but I will say one thing about the colouring community, that the one thing that upsets me the most is when I see people say that, oh, I don't want to colour in this person's artwork because I'm going to ruin it. And I always think in my head, don't worry about it. Just pick up a
Yeah,
pen and do block colouring. Don't think about technique. Just literally give yourself that blank piece of paper to do whatever the hell you want with it, and just enjoy the process,
yeah,
because it is
yeah.
about a little bit of self-care and creative expression for yourself, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. And I think it's important to know that if somebody drew a coloring page, they have no expectations, at least I don't, of
Yeah,
what
yeah.
will come of that page. And I love to be constantly surprised. And I don't think it's about the skill level. I can see beauty in anything. I can see intent, and I can see if they were having fun doing it. And I think that's the most important thing to me. So, I see coloring from all skill levels in my book, and I just love it. I love the little girl who came up to me. She's my next door
Oh,
neighbor, and she came up to me with my book, and she's like, Laura, I want to show you. And she had colored every single page of my book, and it was just like, and
oh.
she was only like 7 years old, but gosh, I was crying right there in the street. I was like, no, oh my god, this is so great. Like I was just, because I was overwhelmed by the fact that she just loved my book enough that she filled it up, and so
Yeah.
I think the biggest joy you could give any illustrator is just, try their work and collaborate with them.
Yeah. Oh, that's so sweet. I did have a similar moment at a craft fair, actually. I had a few colouring books out for the kids to just colour in. And then I wasn't expecting people to buy. I was just like, look, here you go, have a little go. I had my Prismacolor pencils there, which got ruined, I was not happy about. But aside from that, the little kids the little kids were loving the books. And then at the end, they came up to me and they said, can we take our pictures home? And I was like, yes, of course. And then they said, can you sign it for us as well? Because we think you're famous because you're on Instagram. I was like, oh, you're so cute. That's just made my
That's so
absolute life.
cute.
I know, bless them.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
making those connections. I think that's why we do what we do. Is coloring book is coloring book illustration is totally different from other forms of art, where it's more a one-way communication. We create and you
yeah.
consume, but with coloring, it's like we create and then you create, and then we
Mm.
consume it together. And so that's sort of I think unique to the art world. And I think eventually coloring will be considered art just like any other discipline. Just a
I
collaborative.
definitely consider it. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah,
I look at people that color my work and I'm like, whoa, I wish I could do
exactly.
that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Sometimes two heads are better than one. It doesn't matter your skill level or their skill level. If there's something that collides there and makes magic in the process, that's so amazing to me. And whenever it happens, I'm like,
Exactly. Well, I think I'm going to stop waffling on and we'll end it there. And thank you again so much, Laura. You've been amazing. I know
ah,
everyone thinks you're amazing anyway, but it's just
amazing.
confirmed. Laura is superhuman, and everyone should go buy her books and support her journey as an artist. So
Oh,
thanks to everyone for watching and tuning in. And obviously, if you have any questions, just pop it in the comments, and Laura and myself will dive in and give our feedback and whatever else. So
and
yeah.
don't forget to like, guys.
Oh my gosh, yes. Don't forget to like. So thank you so much. Bye
Okay, thank
everyone.
you. Bye.
How
That's
many
me. Oh, wait.
Instagram accounts do you have?
I have 5.
12?
the first couple live streams I did, I didn't schedule them because I would literally hyperventilate and like, like freak out, like have a panic attack. And then I'm like, I'm not live streaming today. Nope, not doing it. Nope. And so like over time, it got easier and easier to the point where now, I can schedule them and I know when they're going to happen. And I'm like, well, I might be scared, but I've done this before. So, it takes a lot of the fear out when you sort of know what to expect and you've been through it before.
It's funny that you mention hyperventilating, because I remember when I did my first Facebook Live, I sat there with my phone like this for about 10 minutes, just trying to psych myself up. And I was hovering over the go live button, and my hand was actually shaking, and I was like,
yeah.
And then when I actually did the live, where I was slightly hyperventilating, I couldn't get my words out because I was out of breath. It was the most surreal experience. And now I feel like I can just go live in my little group, and I have no agenda other than just chat and say what I'm up to, and it all goes absolutely fine. It's so funny how you psych yourself up, isn't it?
Yeah, it's so a trick, if anybody is out there struggling with this, I started doing my live streams right when I got up. So but 5 to 7 is my doodle time, sacred time, but as soon as 7 o'clock hit, bam, that's when my live stream was scheduled. And so I would spend 2 hours in the morning doing my doodle thing and just zoning out, and then jump right on into the live stream. And that way I was warmed up and ready to go, felt like I was in the flow with my art. And it wasn't enough time for me to psych myself out of doing it. Like, I found that later on in the day, you're thinking about it all day. You can't concentrate on your work. Your mind's just, your butterflies are going, your stomach is doing flip-flops, you feel like you're gonna like pass out, so I didn't want to put myself through that all day. So I found that doing it in the morning is it's great, because you don't have enough time to kind of work yourself up for it as much.
That's such a good tip. I mean, I would love to say that I could do that, but obviously now I have to think about Archie, and my husband. So I planned it to go after his bedtime on Sunday evening. So I don't think there's going to be loads of us. I think there's going to be about 10 of us, which will be absolutely fine. So I'm just hoping I get the technical side down okay. So I've got a ring light, so I know that my lighting will be fine, because I'll have that hovering over what I'm working on. But I'm probably just going to have to stream from my phone, because I don't know how to link up my DSLR at the moment, but I'm sure I'll figure it out eventually.
I haven't figured out how to stream with my DSLR. I don't know if that's possible with it.
I think you can. I think you have to download some software, and then there's like another bit of software that almost like links the two up. But it just seems like too much effort right now. So I'm like, I'll just go live with my phone. It's fine.
Yeah, I use my phone on my YouTube channel all the time, and people say the quality is good. So, I do plan on getting a webcam soon. So that way I can just do like a face cam and a drawing cam, if you will, or whatever. Use what you have and try it out before you stress yourself out. Don't make excuses. Oh, I don't have a good camera, I don't have this. You'll, as you grow and as you improve with your channel, then your equipment can improve too.
And I know we're kind of going on, but that totally applies to everything. So even with drawing, I see some people say like, oh, I need like really good drawing supplies. I'm like, no, just grab a crappy HB pencil, just grab one from like your Argos store if you can't afford one, and then just get a sheet of paper. You don't need a fancy sketch pad. Like, you definitely don't need an iPad. I was just like being very luxurious and buying that for myself.
Yeah, I mean, I started out with Crayola crayons on printer paper when I was a kid, and
Crayola.
That was my first like 5 years of art experience right there.
Oh wow, yeah. I will love you and leave you and let you get on with that. It's actually
thank you so much for asking me, inviting me to do this, because like I don't know. I just feel like super flattered that you asked me, and I was nervous about it before, and all that stuff came up and all, but I'm really glad that we did it.
Well, I'm totally honored that you're here because I feel like a nobody compared to you. So I feel
No, are you kidding? You're not a nobody. If you're a nobody, I'm a nobody.
okay, we can be the nobodies. That can be our
Yeah,
show,
that's
the
fine.
Nobodies show.
It's a nobody show.